let's discuss another SQL statement, which is insert into. Okay, the insert into statement is used to insert new records in a table. Usually this is being used when you want to add another record. So it is possible to write the insert into statement in two ways. So the first specifies both the column names and the values to be inserted as such. So we have insert into, you have your table name, okay, and then column 1, the name of the field, okay, the name of the next field. Okay, so in our case that could be insert into the table name, which is table employee, okay, and it close in the parentheses are the column names. So we have employee ID, employee last name, employee first name, employee birth date, and email. Okay, the values. Okay, values which you want it to be replaced with, or the values which you want it to store. Okay, so that could be for the column 1, that could be the ID, so maybe that could be 2, and then column 2, the last name, so that could be what, Dela Cruz. Okay, column 3 could be the first name, that could be Peter, and so on. Okay, if you are adding values for all the columns of the table, you do not need to specify the column or the column names in the query. However, make sure the order of the values is in the same order as the columns in the table. So insert into syntax would be as follows. Okay, so insert into the table name, the values which you specify here. Okay, so in this example we have insert into customers. Okay, there's the table name, the customer name, contact name, address, city, postal code, and country. Okay, so we want to insert in these fields the values which are customer name is Cardinal. Okay, so contact name is this one, Tom B. Irish Sen. Okay, address Skagen 21, city Stavanger. Okay, and postal code 4006, and country is in Norway. Okay, and this would be the output. Okay, okay, oh, okay, I have clicked run 2 times, that's why it produced 2 outputs here. Okay, so we just inserted these values, okay, the values before, into this table. Okay, so let's try to make our own. Okay, so from here let's create another file and let's label it as addEmployee.php. Okay. Okay. So from the index of PHP, we just copy this one, Control C, and paste. Okay. But we do not need the table here. Okay. We want something different. Okay, table. Okay, our table starts here and ends up here. Okay, so let's delete this one. Okay, save, and let's try to run it. So that is add employee. But add employees or add employee? That's add employee. Add employee.php. Okay, now it's empty. What we want to include in this page are the fields. Okay, a form where we can fill out the details of the new employee. Okay, so let's say let's have a horizontal rule here. Okay, an HR. Okay, so that's the horizontal rule. Okay, so let's create a form. Okay. And okay. So in this form, let's create text fields. Okay, so form action, just leave it as is. And the method, we use post method. Okay, so what is post method in PHP? Okay, so post in HTTP method is designed to send loads of data to server from a specified resource. In most common HTML forms on the web operates using the request method, and it usually transmits relatively small loads of data to a receiver. So we want to use the method post, okay, to send the data, okay, into the server. Okay, so from this form, okay, so let's create a div or a division. Okay, so what is a div? Okay, let's say something here, paragraph. This is a paragraph inside a div. Okay, so remember last time I told you to download pesticide. Okay. Oh, where is my pesticide? Where's my pesticide? Pesticide. Oh, it's not here. Maybe in another browser. Okay, paste. Okay, see? Okay, so this is pesticide. So it lets you know the box form of a CSS. Okay, so here it's made up of divs or divisions. Okay, so remember I have created a div inside this form, this one, and inside this div is a paragraph. Okay, so div is just a container. It works just like a container. Okay, so this paragraph here is inside this div. Okay, and when you inspect it, F12, okay, you would see that, okay, this paragraph is, okay, is inside a div, okay, or this one. Okay. This is the div where this paragraph resides. Okay, now let's close it and refresh. Okay, so let's delete this one. Okay, div class. Okay, so let's say label for last name. Okay, and let's say last name. Okay, and let's put an input form here. Input, oops, wrong. Input, the type is text. Okay, and let's name this as employee last name. Okay, so let's see what it looks like. Okay, so let's just copy this one for the first name. Okay, the last name, let's say for first name and first name type text, employee first name. Okay. Well, this isn't really very nice, isn't it? So let's make use of the class. Okay, so let's say input text and class, let's say form control. Okay. Okay, so see, it adjusted to the width of the div. Okay, make use of class which is already in the library of Bootstrap. So if you want to learn more about Bootstrap, you can read its documentation. Okay, and let's say here in the div, let's say class form group. Okay. Okay, save. Oops. Save. Okay, what else do we have there? We also have, what else? Email and birth date. Okay, so let's copy. Okay, label for birth date. Okay, and this is going to be birth date, and type is date, and here employee birth date. Okay, and what else? For email, okay, so input type email and employee email. Save. Okay, refresh. Okay, so now we have our form. Okay, so for an input text type for the last name and first name. Oh, this should be a spare one. 1, 2, 3. Let's delete this one. Save. Refresh for the birth date. Okay, and for the email. Okay, so we also want to have a button. Okay, so let's say div class form group. Okay, and let's say input type is submit. Okay, so name, let's say add employee. Okay, and value is add employee. Okay, so the name of the button, the label inside the button is add employee. Okay, and save. And refresh. Okay, so we have a button here, but we're going to style this one. Okay, let's call Bootstrap's help again. Okay, let's say we want you to make this button using the class. Make this button, okay, call plus btn and btn primary. Okay, so now it's blue. Okay, so bootstrap button, buttons. Okay, so there are a lot of buttons at Bootstrap to choose from, and each button has semantics, meaning each kind of button that you use has meaning on it. Okay, so be careful on using the kind of buttons which we use. Okay, so primary, we have secondary, green for success, red for danger, and so on. Okay, so you just have to copy this one. Okay, so now we're going to add some functionality. So we do not want to add data directly into PHP Okay, so we want to add data using our interface. Okay, so here. Okay, so let's type the codes. Okay, so where are we going to put it? I can write it here. Okay, let's say PHP. Okay, let's say if ESET. So what is ESET? Okay. Okay. ESET in PHP, okay, is determination if a variable is declared and if it is null. Okay, so meaning if the variable which is using the global post, okay, and enclose it in an array, add employee. Okay, so if it is ESET, okay, so if it is set, let's echo something. The button, we are set. We are set. We are set. We are all set. Okay, so it means that if this button is set, okay, so echo we are all set. Okay, so where is this add employee? This is our button here. Our button is named add employee. Okay, so let's try to run the code. Okay, so it's good, we're all set. Okay, okay, so let's delete it. So what happens if it's set? So let's say post, we're going to aggregate post, okay, employee first name. Okay, so let's declare let's declare this all in a variable. Okay, so post first name, okay, for this input field, okay, for this text field which we have created here. Okay, so you have first name, employee last name. So where do they come from? Okay, so you have your text field here named as employee last name, another text field employee first name, birth date, and email. Okay, so all of these text fields have names. Okay, last name, first name. Okay, so birth date and email. Okay, and email, name, class, and email. Okay, Now we are going to assign it to variables. Okay, let's say emp first name, okay, equals that. Okay, last name, birth date, and email. Okay, so now let's query something. Okay, so let's say insert into, okay, insert into the name of the table. In our case, we have table employees. Okay, let's double check again. So that's table employee. Okay, table employee. Okay, so what do we want to insert, or where do we want it to be inserted? Okay, so we have the emp ID, emp last name, and so on. Okay, but what we wanted to insert into our tables are our last name, first name, birth date, and email. So let's go to fields. Okay, so we have emp first name. Okay, so this is case sensitive, so if it's capitalized here, we need to also capitalize it in here. Employee last name, employee first name, employee birth date, and employee email. Okay, and close it. Okay, now we want it to be assigned in a variable query. Okay, and let's concatenate it. Okay, so this query has a continuation. Okay, so just like what we have discussed into this query, wherein this insert into query has this parameters, okay, or needs to have the table, the fields in the table, the values keyword, and the data. So instead of typing values here and so on here, let's concatenate it. Okay, so how do we concatenate it? Okay, so use again query, which is the variable name we assigned here. This query and this query here is just the same. Okay, use concatenation operator, just period, and equals, okay, values. Okay, so what values do we want to insert? Okay, so the values, which are, okay, employee first name, okay, we have employee last name, we have employee birth date, and lastly we have employee email. Okay, and save. Okay, so we want these values, okay, from whatever data that we typed inside these text fields, okay, to be inserted inside our table, okay, which is inside our database, okay, in these following fields. Okay, so if we type last name here, it's represented by these values here. Okay, and if this query will be run and saved, then whatever data you typed in this text field, which is held by this variable, will be stored here. Okay, so this amp last name, we should change this into last name. Okay, so this should be last name and this should be first name. Okay, and save. Now we're going to perform the actual query. Okay, let's say MySQL, then query. Okay, call the connection again and this query. Okay, and close it. So let's assign this again to a variable. Okay, let's say add employee query. Okay, equals to this one. Okay, so if not this one, meaning if there's an error in the query, say die query failed. Okay, and the error. Okay, so MySQL error. Okay, and then the connection. Okay, otherwise, let's say echo employee added. Employee added successfully. Okay, our employee record added successfully. Save. Okay, so let's try this one. Okay, last name Kadagat. Ramel. Birth date is 15 May 1970. I don't know. Email ramel@gmail.com. Add employee. Okay, so now we have here a success message. Employee record added successfully. Let's transfer this to here. Let's transfer it here. Okay, and let's add concatenation operator. Concatenate, add a horizontal, add a vertical line. Okay, and concatenate again, and let's say we want this to link, we want to have a hyperlink to our table, which we want this record to be shown, which we want this record to be displayed in. Say href equals index.php. Okay, so close anchor tag, and let's say view employees. Employee records. Okay, so refresh. Let's add another one. Okay, let's say Granger, Hermione, 1990 email hermione@gmail.com. Okay, employer record added successfully and view employer records. Now we have these records which we just have added. Okay, so that would be all for now for adding records. So now we have discussed and we have just tackled the create part of the CRUD. Okay, so CRUD. Okay, so again we have create, read, update, and delete. Okay, so create, read, update, and delete. So create function allows users to create a new record in a database. In the SQL relational database application, the create function is called insert. Okay, so we still have 2 more to go. We have update and delete. So see you in the next lesson. Thank you very much.